before. I don't know what's going on. Well, there's a huge storm going on right now. Just the sky is black with clouds and rain. So I guess that maybe had a problem with it. Um, Let me see. So I'm not talking into the void like a robot. Let me know if anybody comes into the chat. Let me know if I sound good. Let me start the conversation with a nice sip of delicious Tim Hortons coffee. Here we go. Here we go. Well, I'm getting thumbs up, but I'm not getting people in the chat. Anybody there? Okay. Ghosts. I like it. The ghosts are thumbing me up. Oh, I got somebody in the chat. Hello, how you doing? Do I sound good? Do I look good? I know I look good. I know I look good. All right. This comic is a hidden gem. And funny story, this was the first comic that I can remember that I actually got bullied into buying. My comic book friends back in 1981. Hey Lacey Lee, good morning. Good morning. I'm Gravy. Hey Pete Rock. Hey, how you doing, Pete? How you doing? Good to see you guys there. When I was in I want to say third grade, but I probably get the year wrong. I was told I had to get this. Matter of fact, my friend Carl got this comic and was like making fun of me that I didn't have it. Yeah, uh, back in the olden days, back before comic book stores, you got comics off the spinner racks, and sometimes you found it, sometimes you didn't. And if the local, and not every store had the same assortment of comic books. You'd go in. Some stores had a bunch of Fantastic Fours and Ghost Riders. Some stores didn't. So whatever. So and there was, as far as I was concerned, I didn't know if there was any previews or anything like that. So things like annuals that would come out once a year, and sometimes they would come out in the summer. Sometimes they would come out by Christmas. So they just took you by surprise. Sometimes in the regular comic books, they'd say, "Look out for Avengers Annual number 10." Sometimes they just came out and you didn't know. So this was one of those. It just came out. I didn't know. My friends were reading. I remember sitting at Carl's house reading it, going like, "Oh my god, I'll never find this." And I eventually found it. Yeah, everybody likes gravy. My wife is a gravy fiend. Gravy makes everything better, and gravy is meat based, not tomato sauce based. There you go, Tony Dimes. Just taking a sip of delicious coffee. I got up a little early today, so I already had a whole pot of coffee. So I'm like crazy with caffeine. All right, so I remember sitting in Carl's basement, just reading this, going like, "Oh my god, this is an important comic." So, I still feel that this is a master comic. It's a important comic, and I think this is like one of the few comics that like everybody should have in their collection. So let's check it out. We got Avengers Annual number 10, and this win a Columbia 10-speed. These advertisements, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. Like a few comic books just. They're just like ruining this beautiful landscape. Although this cover is not great, but a lot of comics, like especially the X-Men 137, the Death of Phoenix, it has that stupid thing on the top. And then I never saw the results of the contest. Does anybody know who won this 10-speed biker? I want them to come on my channel so I could yell at them. Your stupid bicycle ruined artwork on comic book covers for like, I don't know what, like 3-4 months. So let's check this out. This has got everything. It's right here in the corner box. It's 1981 Marvel Comics Group. So I'm trying to remember what grade I was in 1981. I kind of forget. But look at these John Byrne drawn heads. Oh my God, I love these. These are amazing. John Byrne should come out of whatever he's doing, retirement, exile. I don't know, and just do these. I was going to make a crass joke. Yeah, John Byrne should just come out and give everybody a head. John Byrne should come out and put heads in the corners of every box, whether it's Marvel, DC, whatever. It's just that good. So this cover is drawn by Al Milgrom. Milgrom was one of those guys. I just didn't like Al Milgrom's artwork growing up, and I got to say, I'm still not the biggest fan of Al Milgrom's artwork. So there you go. That's the only negative. I'm sure he's a great guy. I hate saying stuff like that. I feel mean, especially these guys, if they're still alive, they're old timers. But look, we got these panels on. You don't really see covers like this anymore, but see Captain America totally defeated. Witness the invincible Iron Man knocked out of action. I'll go to this one last. Observe Spider-Woman's daring midnight rescue. and a cameo appearance by the X-Men. Now check this out. Oh, plus a shocking mystery guest. I love this. This is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. We got Avalanche, we got Pyro, we got Destiny, drawn really terrible, Mystique, and oh, that's Avalanche. That's the Blob. But who's that? Who is that? That's what makes this comic one of the most important comics. There you go. So let's check this out. Buy 3 Snap Tight kits and we'll send you $1.50. Wow, a whole $1.50. A whole $1.50. All right. So let's look at this, but let's check out the credits first. Okay. So we got Chris Cram. I need to get my mouth fixed. So we got Chris Claremont, writer, co-editor, and I never like when you edit yourself. Michael Golden, penciler. What an amazing guy! This guy's artwork is just awesome. He's in the top 10 greatest comic book superhero artists of all time. The thing about John Byrne's one of my favorites, and George Perez, like John Byrne and George Perez are my 2 favorite superhero comic book artists. And I will put like Michael Golden up against it, but Michael Golden could go into fantasy and sci-fi and everything too. Whereas I think John Byrne is mostly superheroes. Like if you see John Byrne doing barbarians, it just doesn't look right. Or John Byrne doing sci-fi, it doesn't look right. But George Perez could do sci-fi, but I don't know. Maybe I'm talking crazy, but I just feel that Michael Golden's style lends itself to more genres than John Byrne and George Perez. Armando Gil Inker, he was a mainstay at Marvel at this point. I don't know much about him now. I don't know if he's around still. What do you got there? Joe Rosen, letterer. Michael Golden, colorist. There you go. I don't know why, but I always get a kick out of when colorists color when artists color their own stuff. Anthony David Kraft, co-editor. I don't know much about him. And Jim Shooter. Jeez. Jim Shooter seems to be the editor on all these classic comics. So we already know it's 1981. All right. So the Mighty Avengers. So San Francisco, as George Takei said, I was born there. I wasn't born there. I was born in New York, but I just always laughed at that Star Trek 4. There's the Golden Gate Bridge, and here's Spider-Woman rescuing somebody who's jumping. So we got a little person over there jumping. Look at that panel. Look at that panel. That is just awesome. This comic doesn't want to stay closed. And look at the way she's carried it, because in a lot of comics today, people kind of forget people's power set stuff, which I can understand because power sets kind of change sometimes. They go, artists and writers and whatever, they always seem to update things. I don't know why I got too much caffeine. I'm like getting jittery. But Spider-Woman can't fly. Spider-Woman glides. It's like the theory. What is that spider that's it sprays a web? You see it at the end of Charlotte's Web. They shoot the strand of web, and then the wind takes them and flies them. That's what she's copying with these webs. So I don't know if it's an intrinsic ability of hers, or if it's the costume. But I think I've seen her flying in more recent comics without her costume. But she needs her costume to fly. And because of that, she's holding the person that she rescued with her legs, so that her glider wings can catch the wind. And because of the awkwardness and the strength of the wind, she's falling into the water. Hey, John, whatever happened with the blonde-haired Spider-Woman who wore the black costume? That was a Carpenter, right? And she was the Spider-Woman in the later 80s with the why can't I think of it? Secret Wars, and she had a 4-issue miniseries. I don't know. She kind of came and went. I don't know why Marvel. Was she an Avenger? Good question. I think she was an Avenger for a short time. I think so, but now I'm gonna have to look that up. But I don't remember offhand. I know she was in a few Avengers comics, and she shot the psionic webs, which I thought were crummy. I never liked when the psionic webs, that's kind of goofy, but whatever. I guess if Green Lantern could shoot energy constructs, she could make psionic webs. But yeah, Julia Carpenter. I remember she had a daughter that she was always taking care of. It was like a little bit like a little lone wolf and cubby kind of situation going on. But I liked her. There was nothing wrong with her. I don't know why they phased her out and put Jessica Drew back. But that's something comic books always do is they have like a little replacement hero for a while. It doesn't work. I guess her popularity got really low, and they figured they I think they wanted to squat on the name to hold the name. The same with Captain Marvel. It would be really embarrassing for DC to have a Spider Woman, right? So you got to keep the name going. Um, so that's what I'm thinking. That's my you know I'll say informed opinion because I think I know a lot about comic books, I'm just speculating. So here she is. She's back into what is this, the San Francisco Bay, because the wind and everything. So she's carrying this person back. I just love that. She's it's logical limitations on her powers. She could easily carry her, but could the wind carry both of them? Like I could say, what she 120, 130. I don't know how big this is, so I'm going to say 130. So that's 260 pounds. Is the wind going to be able to carry 260 pounds on these flimsy little glider wings? Nice shot of the actual city, and then here we have she's taken the suicidal person to the hospital. And she's a hero. She's sticking around. She's talking to the doctors. She's talking to the police. I imagine social workers, and I love this. This is a perfect example of master comic book, master superhero comic books at their craft. She's just talking to a superhero. I mean, she's just talking to a police officer. And you could just draw her standing there. This could be a flat angle. This could be two talking heads looking at each other, kind of like this panel, but even this one. But it's dynamic. She's sticking to the wall. We're kind of coming in at a bird's eye view. That is master comic book storytelling. You know what I mean? They're not just sitting at a coffee table concerned. They're doing basically the same thing. Like in a modern Marvel comic books, they'd be sitting in a coffee shop. I wonder if that woman I rescued is okay. As they're drinking their lattes or whatever. But, you could do anything. You could say anything. It's how you convey that information. That just little panel there is reminding us she has superpowers. She's a little weird. Also, that just made me think of something. At this time in Marvel history, Spider-Woman had a power that she can't control. She has pheromone powers. And I think they are based on her emotions. So if she likes somebody, if she's like happy or whatever, she basically could make you attracted to her. So that's like she's always like portrayed as like one of the sexier superheroes and everything. And like I think when she's confident or nowadays she could control it, but back then she didn't even realize she had these powers. Like I think it was just like one of those things that they decided afterwards because it kind of fit and it kind of worked. So she could influence you. So when she's in an uncomfortable situation, she admits this odorless chemical that repulses you. You know what I mean? So a lot of people let's face it, Jessica Drew is a beautiful woman and she's wearing this sexy costume. But people were like, if you read the Spider-Woman comic series from the 70s and early 80s, that was her weakness. People hated her. Like they wanted to keep the motif of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Spider-Man had J. Jonah Jameson hating him and people were afraid of him. That's kind of something that's been forgotten about. Was Spider-Man's costume was off-putting at the beginning. I remember there was a made-for-TV movie about a child, like a Down syndrome child who was afraid of Spider-Man. Like that wasn't the whole thing, but that was one of the subplots. And they were trying to teach him to like people, whatever. So they actually had in the movie a person dressed up as Spider-Man to show him that like Spider-Man wasn't bad. And he's like, "Are you afraid of Spider-Man anymore?" He's like, "No, Spidey's my friend." But that was like a big deal. The Spider-Man costume was kind of scary bad in the 70s and maybe the 60s, I guess. So they were playing off that. They were trying how do we make Jessica Drew? But so people were repulsed by her. And I guess some clever writer was like, look at this. How could you be repulsed by that? So it was, well, she always had the chemical repulsion powers. Then it became, attraction powers too. So now they're like, we found who this is. Who is this? This is Carol Susan Jane Danvers. Carol Danvers. Why is that important? That's Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Well, at this point, we'll see. So this is, I think, one of the most important Carol Danvers stories, and I'm not going to use the code name yet because she has so many different code names. So this, I love. This is one of the reasons why I've always loved Carol Danvers, because she is, oh man, a character that nobody knew what to do with. She debuted, and I think in the either the very first or the second appearance of Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel. The original Marvel. Carol is everywhere in Marvel. Yes, yes, Bucky, she is. And at this point, like I said, they didn't know what to do with her. So th- at this point, she was. Let me formulate my thoughts. At this point, she was already Miss Marvel. She was Miss Marvel, and then Rogue absorbed her powers. I forget which issue of the X-Men that was, but Rogue, if you remember, Rogue from the X-Men, she could touch you and absorb your powers. And every once in a while, and I can't help but turn it into let's turn the page. I can't help but turn it into role-playing terms. Every once in a while, she'll get a critical hit, and then she absorbs those powers forever. And she absorbs your memories, she absorbs your powers. And Carol Danvers was one of those victims. She got absorbed by Rogue to the point where Carol Danvers was a tabula rasa. She lost everything. She had no memory, she had no personality, and she had no powers. So here she is, a normal woman with nothing. She can't remember the day before she woke up after getting attacked by Rogue. Because you also when Rogue absorbs your powers, you fall unconscious. Rogue is a badass. Rogue, and Rogue has a curse. You know what I mean? She can't touch people for fear of killing them. And some of the people could die when she absorbs them. Captain Marvel needed to stay in the cosmos like Silver Surfer. Hey, Bush Panther. The original Captain Marvel, yes, the original Captain Marvel, he was best when he was the Cosmic Avenger. If anyone's interested in community posts, I posted some old Marvel. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love the ads. I love old Marvel ads. What was I saying? So, uh, so this is the Captain Marvel. This is the I'm not gonna say Captain Marvel. This is the Carol Danvers that we're getting into. She is suicidal. She has no memories. She has no emotions to her past. At this point, she could see like photographs of her life growing up, and it's like seeing just imagine you seeing strangers' photographs of you. You know what I mean? And you're like, hey, that looks like me, but I have no memories. I have no recollection of that. So enter the X-Men because it's Chris Claremont. Look. Just dynamic angles. Here we have a flat angle, but that's fine because look at that. Just the draw sexy women. She's drinking coffee. How often do I goof on a superhero sitting around drinking coffee? But she's drinking coffee. Then we establishing the X-Men mansion. There's Kitty Pryde looking like a little kid. I just love Michael Golden. Guys, I cannot stress enough. Get the first 12 issues of the Micronauts. The first run it is just classic comic books. So here we have, she's in her Ariel costume. You remember, Kitty Pryde is another one that went through phases of different names. So she at this point, she's Ariel. There's Nightcrawler over here, Storm. I just love when Michael Golden draws the X-Men, and at this point, I've talked about this a few times because I seem to be showcasing comics from this era a lot. She is freaked out by Nightcrawler. She's freaked out by his the way he looks. She's working on it, and Nightcrawler is very sensitive to it. He's not one of these like, well, you don't like the way I look, so you're an alt-right Nazi. Nightcrawler is just like, I like Kitty Pryde. I understand I look weird, and I freak her out. I'm going to kill her with kindness. I'm going to win her over. And that's what happens. Poor Carol. If I remember, Rogue wasn't very happy. Yes, Rogue was a full-on villain at that point, and I think she was all caught up. Marvel mismanaged Kitty Pryde. She could have been a better Jubilee. Oh, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. I think it was just that they kind of wanted to have like a teen sidekick, almost like Doctor Who. Doctor Who's classic is the doctor and then a young woman. I think they started they liked that dynamic with Wolverine and and Kitty Pryde was like they were already like aging her up. So they wanted to get another. That's what I think. I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's my view. Where was I? So yeah, his Colossus. And again, I must point out, what are they doing? They're just having conversations. They're not talking anything. Poor Peter. They're talking about their feelings. How she has feelings for Peter. She feels bad about Nightcrawler. Wolverine's talking about like, what's he saying? Are you sure you know what you're doing, Bob? Nightcrawler's talking about how he feels bad that Kitty doesn't like him, but they're fixing machinery, they're teleporting, they're in the danger room, they're doing normal everyday, they're saying normal everyday stuff that needs to be said, but they're doing superhero actions. Again, you could talk about anything you want in comic books. It's how you present it that makes it a Marvel comic, and I think a lot of people are forgetting that in modern Marvels. And of course, the Frazzy Watts, the doohickeys, the whatever, they explode. Look at that panel. And she phased, so she's not really hurt. His Kurt, you know what I mean? Like this, Kitty is like, for lack of a better term, she's bigoted against his skin color. You know, let's turn it into modern parlance. And he still likes her. He understands, you know, and he wants to be your friend, you know. So there you go. Kitty's in the hospital. No, this they called Charles Xavier to help with Carol Danvers because at this point Carol Danvers, she was hanging out with the X-Men a lot. Remember, so let's talk a little bit about Carol Danvers. First, she was the sidekick to or the love interest sidekick to Captain Marvel. And she debuted 1968, so that's a powerful character. I don't mind that she became Captain Marvel. She put in the time, you know. She put in the work, and yes, Jubilee was Logan's Robin. You know, you're absolutely right. Um, Dark Claw's Robin. In order to have this type of dialogue, I almost missed your comment. Yes, you're absolutely right. They were having mundane conversations in a fantastic setting, and that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You're absolutely right. Good observation. So they call in Xavier. Why? Because remember, Carol Danvers was. I'm getting distracted by I don't know, so much coffee. I'm like getting distracted, but and then my screen keeps moving. I had to change the computer screen. It kept moving on me, and I kept looking at it every time it moved. So anyway, back to this. Focus, focus. All right. So the Carol Danvers was originally, she was an Air Force liaison. I think she was like supposed to be escorting Larson, and Larson was I forget his first name. Charles Larson, I think it was. Charles Larson was the scientist that Marvel was. It was the false identity that Marvel created. Do you drink light roast? I drink yes, light roast. Tim Hortons light roast coffee with one spoonful of sugar and a little bit of half and half. Oh God, I love that. So Charles Larson was the fake identity created by the Kree and given to Marvel to infiltrate the Air Force. Yes, it is high in caffeine, and this is like my fourth cup already. So and then Carol Danvers was assigned as his liaison. So he was a civilian scientist, false identity, of course, and she was assisting him through the Air Force. So Carol Danvers was there from day one. They started to have like a respect for each other. Because of her influence on him, Marvel turned traitor to the Kree and became a good guy. So Captain Carol Danvers was an important character from day one. Then she got powers. You're not going to be like Fry in the episode of Future when I drank the 1,000 cups of. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I got a lot to do today. I could use some super speed. So, and that was a great episode, by the way. That was a really good episode, and Futurama had a lot of good episodes. So her influence turned a Kree spy into a traitor to his home, and then they became buddies, and then she got her superpowers, like the Omni-Wave projector, which was the magical science device that did whatever the plot required, exploded. Captain Marvel jumped in front of it to block Carol Danvers from vaporizing. The magic science rays went through Captain Marvel and penetrated Carol Danvers, and her Marvel's DNA imprinted on Carol Danvers, and she got Marvel's powers. Now, that's her origin. So she is like super strong like a Kree, and then she could fly because at this point Marvel, his powers were enhanced by I forget the Eon or Epoch, I forget which one of them. And then later on, like she just kept developing powers. Then she lost her powers. Now, I think at this point, She didn't become binary yet. I think she got absorbed by Rogue. Yes, Rogue absorbed all of her uh, Captain Marvel abilities. The feature when the main character becomes super. I don't remember that one. So Rogue absorbed Carol, and so she absorbed all of Carol Danvers' uh, Kree abilities. So Rogue, this is something people kind of forget about. Rogue is a mutant Kree hybrid now because of her powers. That's something that should be explored. So she's waking up. You know, here's the doctor, and Charles Xavier is look at that face, is waking her up. And what does he do? He's filling her in. So this is Rogue, her first appearance when she was Madame McEvil. No, that Madame McEvil was Moondragon. Forgive me, that was wrong. So this is what Rogue looked like. She originally had 2 white stripes. So I guess she dyes her hair to get the white stripes because or she combs it different. I don't know. And they're going into flashbacks. So chapter 2. Look at that, Captain America just getting beaten up. Captain America's getting beat up. So they're talking about Rogue. So now the Avengers are getting attacked by the evil. And look at Rogue. She's supposed to be like, well, she later on she got turned into like an 18-year-old girl. She is like, I get what is the word? Rogue should have stayed a villain. She's got villain powers. But then when she absorbed Captain Marvel's powers, she got superhero powers. Like I think like, you know, the flight, super strength, in invulnerability, those are like classic super. But absorbing your powers is if you ask me, is a villain power. So here she is. This was like her thing. She would kiss you and steal your powers. So here she is. At this point, she's got Captain Marvel's abilities. You know, I keep saying Captain Marvel's, but I'm going to say Carol Danvers' Miss Marvel abilities. Now she's absorbing. She gets Captain America's abilities. She also gets your memories. And here's the Avengers just lounging out. There's Jarvis over here, the Vision. That's Joe Costa. I'm surprised they didn't bring her into the Marvel Universe movies. Joe Costa is a robot that the Vision built as a companion, and he modeled her brain patterns after Janet Van Dyne. There's Hawkeye over here. There's Scarlet Witch, and there's Simon Williams in the uniform that is so bad that it's awesome. Bushpan, he says the Rogue and Gambit romance would have been better. I hate Gambit. I don't know what it is. I never liked Gambit. I just don't like Gambit. And they're just hanging out, and then Crasher Rooney. I love how, like, all this big room, they're like all cramped over here, but that's the way it is. And then Captain America comes smashing in here, and then we go to Stark. What's going on? The alarms are going off. Either Tony Stark is working on his armor over here, dressed like a pizza maker. Close up of the hand, pushing buttons, and Jarvis is like, "We're under attack. We got to do something." Mon ami. Here we got some ads. Let's get the most horrible monster of all time. Is the Tyrannosaurus Rex a monster? Guys, let's take a poll. I got 5 people in the chat, myself included. That makes 6 people. Is the Tyrannosaurus Rex a monster? No. It's a natural animal. You know, it doesn't exist anymore, but it's not a monster. Monsters to me have to be like either like a human being could be a monster if it's just like horrific and has like no. Yes, you Bushpan, you say Tyrannosaurus could be a monster. I don't know. Dinosaurs aren't monsters, but you know what I mean. Like a fantastic cryptids and like guys with axes could. I've never seen a T-Rex. So here he is dressing up. He's going out to get work. And who's this? Is this Oh, this is Janet Van Dyne. Look at Janet Van Dyne over here. Holy moly! And they're going to go off into the Avengers. He is about to. So he's in the armor, and what happens? Janet Van Dyne shapeshifts. It's Mystique. I love that. She puts this magical science device on Iron Man, and he is. What does it say on the cover? Iron Man, knocked out of action. So that's how he gets knocked out of action. We already saw how Captain America is totally defeated. We saw her daring midnight rescue. We saw a cameo by the X-Men, and now we're seeing the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And the shocking guest, you guessed it, that's Carol Danvers. So Mystique is gloating. Iron Man's immobilized. Look at this, just a nice cityscape, and it's awesome. Mike Golden can almost do no wrong. Here comes Thor over here, transforming back into Donald Blake. If you've never seen 80s music videos, T-Rex is the music. I don't get it. You're going to have to explain that. Of course, I've seen 80s videos, Jeez, I was there for the birth of MTV. At one point, that's like what you did when you went to your friend's house. You turned on MTV and you all hung out with videos in the background. That was like the cool thing to do. So Donald Blake, Thor turns into Donald Blake. This, for those of you who may or may not be new, Thor, in the movies, they write off Donald Blake as Jane's ex-boyfriend, but in the comics, Thor was the original identity. It started out when they created Thor. It was Donald Blake, a guy with like a paralyzed leg. He went to Norway on vacation. He found the stick. He taps the stick. Boom! He becomes Thor. But later on, they retconned it, and I think there's pops. I love Mark Barlin and T-Rex. One of my. But I love T-Rex. I got all their albums. I'm a big T-Rex fan. They were big in the 70s. So what they did was they said that Thor was getting too big in the britches department, and Odin sent him to the mortal realms as a lame person who became a doctor to teach him humility. Like, you got to learn how to start healing people and temper your temper with humility. And I think that's when Thor really broke out as a character. And to me, that's all Jack Kirby. So I love that. So the Donald Blake character is simulacrum. Is that the right word? He's a false creation. He's a false human being with no memories before medical school. So by the time we see Donald Blake in Thor Journey into Mystery 83, the Donald Blake persona is only like 15 years old, which is a blink of an eye in the existence of an immortal Asgardian. So here she is, Rogue over here. And what's coming up? Spider-Woman just tackles her. Now, Spider-Woman has spider powers. She has super strength. She has these glider wings. She has a sixth sense, and she has venom blast. So she could shoot like energy rays. Every spider being gets like different spider beings. I don't know which spiders could shoot energy beams, but that's besides the point. I also don't know which spiders have spider sense now that I think about it. Let me ask again. I got outvoted that the T-Rex is a monster by you horrible people. Poor T-Rex. What do you like better? Do you think it's better to Spider-Man to have the organic web shooters, or do you think it like let's just say, let's pretend we got a time machine and we're going back in time, and we're where Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. Would you make organic web shooters, or would you have the mechanical web shooters? Of course, I'm biased, but I'm trying to, make them. I think if he got bit by the spider, maybe he should have organic web shooters. I don't know. Then Thunderstrike came along later. Yes, Thunderstrike was a, like I said, they always kind of repurpose the superheroes for a little while. Like, that's why I don't get mad like when other people become whatever, Spider-Man or Thor or whatever, because that's mechanical web shooters. Okay, we got one vote for mechanical. That's why I don't get mad, because Marvel's always changing things up. Rhodey became Iron Man, and then War Machine, and that replaced Iron Man for a while. They were always trying. It's like sine wave. Whenever popularity of a character temporarily goes down, they panic and they try something. They always come back to the original character. So it's just a comic book thing. So here, Rogue is not having any of that. She's beating up Spider-Woman. Look at that panel. It's just dynamic. She's sticking to the wall. Rogue is punching the wall. Rogue is a powerhouse. We forget she absorbed Captain Marvel's power, Miss Marvel's powers. Thor ain't having any of that. Now this, she's trying to touch Thor over here, and Thor's freaking out. You know what I mean? She's using her mutant Rogue abilities. Eileen, organic because of the genetic modification. Yeah, that's the way I feel. And then they started to say that, like, the Spider-Man the spider that bit him transferred the information of how to make the silk strands, because it makes Peter Parker like a brilliant scientist. Like, as a 16-year-old kid, he's making those web shooters. But it is comic books. But whatever, mechanical are important. in many stories. Yes, it shows his tech side, and there's a lot of stories where he runs out of web fluid and he doesn't have money to make it because it's expensive. It is a good. Chuck Dixon said that you gotta have stuff that limit the hero and then work around it so you can make the hero more interesting. Peter Parker not being able to fly, like how does he get around Manhattan? Like, things like that. The web shooters running out, and now he has to work around beating up the villains without web shooters. That stuff is amazing. It really fleshes out the character. So here, she's slapping Thor, but I don't think she could absorb Thor. I think she could just knock him out because he's a god. So now she's shooting her venom blasts. Look at that. And Rogue is just taking it. Rogue is a badass. Why is she badass? Because she's absorbing. Yes, Marvel could have thought of other stuff to engineer for Peter Parker. Yeah, they could do a lot with if by studying spiders, if you want to have Peter Parker, and that's what the Superior Spider-Man was with Doctor Octopus. I guess I'm in a small minority. I actually enjoyed the Superior Spider-Mans. I think that was like one of the last Spider-Man comics that I collected. I thought it was brilliant because I knew Peter Parker was coming back. I knew it. It's not my first rodeo. I know that Marvel changes things up, changes the status quo for a year. The only thing is like, okay, get off the Krakatoa X-Men stuff. It's going on too long. So now she knocks out Thor, but I don't think she absorbed his powers. And what so the Vision is going to touch her and disrupt her. And she's like freaking out because she doesn't know. What does she say? He's a Synthroid. My mutant power won't work on him. So she spins Thor in front of him. So Thor is already knocked out, and then Vision disrupts Thor. That is just awesome. And then that hurts Vision, and then she just takes out the Vision. So she's just beating the crap out of the most powerful Marvel characters out there. Thor is probably top of the line as far as like, a bunch of different powers and everything like that. Vision is up there, and then we got Wonder Man. Wonder Man to me is just like, up there. He'll get defeated by Superman, but he'll give Superman a run for his money. And she's trying to absorb him, but he's not human. He's made out of energy, so he's energy that thinks he's human. So he takes the form of a human being. When he became Wonder Man, he got consumed by his energy and died. And then they brought him back. They retroactively said that his body was transforming into energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed. So he's immortal for the rest of eternity. He will be Wonder Man. He's basically a god on Earth. So, but at this point, he's still discovering how powerful he is. At this point, he's getting over his fear of death, and he's becoming more heroic, which I like. I love that hero's journey. So she can't absorb him, so she tosses him away, and she's like, I got to get out of here. This guy's gonna kick my butt. Thor, she couldn't absorb his powers, but Thor was a god because he's got, but so she affected him. He's an organic being. She couldn't beat the Vision, so she used Thor against him. She's look, Rogue is fighting. I think she's fighting more intelligent than the character. They kind of toned her down when she joined the X-Men. Should have Batman do more detective? Yes. Bushpan, Marvel could have explored that. Yes, I agree. Bushpan says something that I agree with 8 billion%. DC should have Batman do more detective stuff than being superhuman. Absolutely 100%. That's one of the reasons why this new, Batman movie with the vampire Twilight guy, what's his name, Patterson. I liked it the best. To me, it was my favorite Batman movie because he did detective work in it. They still have never made a Batman movie that I will say like, yeah, this is the Batman movie. Yes, in the Guardians of the Galaxy, Wonder Man changed his name to Hollywood. In the future, in the year 3000, because Batman's still wearing armor. Batman in all of the movies, he's Iron Man. He's wearing, you don't just stand there and absorb bullets. If Batman's standing there absorbing bullets, then make another character because Batman won't allow himself to be in your sights. That's that's the way Batman should be. So now the deal, and what are we going to deal with this? These are all the Avengers that are revived. I don't know why Thor's not there. He should be out. And Spider-Woman's talking about what happened, a recap within the comic, and now we're going to get a little bit of history of Carol Danvers. Look at that sexy costume. Carol Danvers, hands down, was the sexiest Marvel superhero character. Look at that. And here she, I will, I probably next week I might do Avengers 200, another pivotal moment in Carol Danvers' history. But here she is with the Mortis. Oh, look, the monster attacks. There you go. Immortus is Kang the Conqueror, and the Living Pharaoh and the Scarlet Centurion, all, various timelines. And so time went berserkowitz, dinosaurs attacking, and then I don't know about you guys, but my eyes I tell that this is an unfortunate use of color right here. I can't really differentiate the panel. And look at this is my favorite era of the Beast. He's goofy. He hangs out with Wonder Man. He's loving life, but he's still a scientist. And why we know he's a scientist because he puts on the lab coat, and he's explaining what's going on with her. Her mind has been like destroyed by Rogue. Rogue got the critical hit on her. Look at all of these little map of Manhattan, the 5 boroughs. Just cool setup. Look at the setting. It's just so good. And this is Donald Blake with or is this who is this? Oh, this is Destiny. Just look at that. That is a bad drawing. I thought that was Matt Murdock for a second. But that's Destiny looking like an old man instead of a woman. And now the Avengers they're on the offensive. They're trying to track down the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Here we got, the Blob. He lands on the Blob, but Blob is like his main power is his invulnerability. We got Earthquake over here just rippling everything. Just so cool. Look at all this destruction. And I love this. The Brotherhood of Evil, the Avengers are out. They're pissed. How dare you send in Rogue after us? Just, as like a test to get her to join the team. And again, I think now that I'm looking at the way Mike Gold draws, I think she's supposed to be young. So she's being gaslit. Mystique is playing on her emotions and calling her Marie, my little daughter and stuff. And she's acting like a foster mother. Remember, she was rejected by her family because of her powers. They're scared. They can't touch her. They could die if they touch her. So like they cast her out. And Animal Farm is a great book. Everybody should read Animal Farm. So she's playing on her longing to have a family and acting like her mother, and then Chris Claremont always intended these two to be a couple. And I think Jim Shooter put a nix on it, but they were going to have that Mystique shapeshifted into a man and impregnated Destiny, who gave birth to Nightcrawler. But that I think that was too much for Jim Shooter at the time. So now the Avengers are going out for blood. Here comes the Quinjet. Look at that. Avengers assemble. Scarlet Witch did nothing so far. We got Avalanche over here, just using his powers. And what does his powers do? Just bringing down the house, knocking down the Quinjet, just being powerful. Pyro over here. Now, Pyro controls fire, but he doesn't create fire. So he has like a flamethrower tank. And look, he just makes this Pyro bird. Just a great panel. Just a great panel. Now, I was so overwhelmed by this comic as a kid. As an adult looking at it, I'm like, I think Michael Golden coloring it was a mistake. And Destiny's giving them clues of what's going to happen. See, just look at the bad coloring. And she's shape-shifting now to, what is she going to turn into? Nick Fury or whatever? Wonder Man's fighting this. Just so cool. Action-packed. Blob. Now, this is kind of one of those things, like, the Blob shouldn't be able, he's not strong enough to affect Wonder Man, and then the Blob Wonder Man goes into a building, and the Vision's doing nothing, Jocasta's doing nothing, Scarlet Witch was like taken out off camera, Hawkeye is, and look at that face of the Beast, he's brushing off the dust, he's ready to, this is getting personal now, and here they are just fighting, and everybody's going around, look at the Beast, remember, the Beast has a long history with the Blob, Fred J. Dukes. And they're fighting, and then so he uses the Blob's face as a pivot, whoop, and then and then punches the Pyro. And what's he doing? He's singing, "With the greatest of ease of the flying trapeze." He's being a goofball. He's being silly. We kind of forget about that, but even in X-Men #1, the Beast was like comedy relief. He was like the Fantastic Four up. He was the thing of the X-Men. Little bit of a little bit of pathos, a little bit of humor, and goofing around, and then he would play off Bobby Drake, Iceman, the way the Thing would play off Human Torch, and then Avalanche is bringing down the house on him. The Blob is just being tough, and the Vision is this is really cool. This is just pretty imaginative. I really dig this. The Vision sticks his hand into the Blob to disrupt him, but the Blob's super density and everything, he like flexes and kind of like sticks Vision there so he could get bashed upon unmerciful by Rogue over here. And now we finally have Hawkeye doing stuff. I imagine the fight choreography of keeping where all these characters are in your head is pretty tough. And now she's like, "Watch out, Hawkeye's coming," and so he's like, "Huh?" But he's only so fast, and then the bright light blasts and flashes him, and then he takes out Hawkeye. Because she was warned by Destiny. I just think that's a great teamwork. Destiny isn't going to go out there and punch you in the face, but Destiny is going to give you the heads up of what's about to happen. That is just awesome. That is just an awesome, she's like a support character. Yeah, I agree with you, Bushpan. These just logical explanation of powers, fight choreography, excitement. The only thing I can argue with is the coloring choices, and what am I going to do about that? So now she's recovering. Destiny's telling her what's about to happen, how she's going to react to it. Here comes Spider Woman. What? Oh, okay. She's got Iron Man. And then here comes Nick Fury. Nick Fury, he's going to help us. He's got the guns. And her spider sense is saying something ain't right. And then she jumps because it was really Mystique all along. Just excellent use of power. Just an excellent use of power. She blasts Venom at Mystique. Who's this? Again, the coloring is off. Without reading it, you can't really tell. I think I've arrived back to back her up in the proverbial nick of time. I don't know who's saying that. Okay. Well, whoever it is just got blasted. His Iron Man coming back. I guess they got that doohickey off him. And look at this. What does he say over here? Remove the inhibitor module with your biovenom blast. We have recharged my energy cells. My armor is operating at full power. Full power punch to the face. Full power punch to the face to Rogue. Okay, that's Iron Man. Full power punch to the face. So I need to point out that's how powerful Carol Danvers is. So I don't, because she has Carol Danvers' powers right here. So when I see people arguing that, Brie Larson is too powerful. No. She Captain Marvel, and therefore Carol Danvers, and therefore Rogue are powerhouses. They're super powerful because it's just that they're not writing her interesting, And then Brie Larson has the charisma of a piece of wood. So now look at that. She beats Iron Man into the wall. Full power Iron Man. And she's like amazed at her power. Here is the Brotherhood of Evil. They're just like, what are we doing here? Rogue was more powerful than all of us. And then here we got the plot powers. Scarlet Witch's powers are vaguely undefined, so therefore they could do anything. So what did she say? You want time up power? How about a few more years in prison? Just you can't argue with how cool it is. And then power. So Stan Lee envisioned that her powers are bad luck. So she points at you, you get bad luck. So she points at you, you slip on a banana peel. She points at you, an acorn falls on your head, distracts you, and then Captain America punches you in the face. They changed that. They forgot about that. She's her power. At one point, they had her flying, and then they had to say that she wasn't really flying. It was a jetpack underneath her cape. And Domino, I think. I might be. I don't know as much about Domino as I do Scarlet Witch, but I think Domino they've been more consistent with her powers being luck. But that's what she was supposed to be. Her hexes are just you get bad luck, and it's not supposed to be like insanity happens. It's supposed to be something improbable, something that could happen that's bad. So like you're walking on the sewer grate and at that moment a splice gets undone and a wire touches the sewer grate and you get shocked because you conducted through that. That's not improv. That happens. If you hear that you hear about that in Manhattan every once in a while. Somebody's poor poodle gets electrocuted when they walk across the sewer grate. You know, a pipe bursts and you get sprayed in the face with steam. Things like that. That's supposed to not portals to other dimensions. And then they turned it into magic because she used the name witch. But it's supposed to be bad luck. And I would love. If I ever got a chance to write the Scarlet Witch, that's what I would do. I would bring her back to her bad luck abilities. And then I would even say that she could give herself or her friends good luck. I got no problems with that. So she gives you, Madam McKee. I keep saying Madam McKee, but she gives Rogue over here bad luck, but she'll give Jessica Drew good luck. And here they are fighting. So Jessica Drew, she's a hero. She's outclassed over here, but she's fighting because this person basically murdered spiritually, mentally her friend, not physically. The three aspects: mental, spiritual, and physical. That's like a big part of my role playing game. She killed two parts and left the body of Carol Danvers. Whether she meant to or not doesn't matter. And now she's being hoodwinked by Mystique. She's a kid, even though Michael Golden has drawn her old. And look at this cool looking machinery over here. I love superhero machinery. And just look at this. They're talking over here, big old info dump by Iron Man, but this could have been anything. But what is it? We got this building over here. She's over here with the shadows. Iron Man is flying up to see if she's okay. Just again, you can have all this info dump concern, but just the way they drew it, just awesome. Oh, I thought I skipped a page. And then we have Kablooey. Oh yeah, in the 90s they kind of made it like spells and stuff. Yes, Bucky's right. I really like the Sentinels machine. Yeah, machinery in comics is so cool, so cool. And look, so here she is. She's using her powers. I love that. I love that. The wind's blowing, the cape is flapping, super heroic. This special effects over here. But what is she doing? She's not. She didn't say building collapse. She's just doing a pout, and then something bad happens. The main. What does it say? The gas main explode, boom, because the pyro's fire, and it takes down the building. It's not impossible, it's improbable, and that's what she does. She manipulates probabilities. I would even say this is how I would do Scarlet Witch. She gives you so he's using this power over here, and she manipulates, boom, that she could guide it. I'll even say that she could guide the bad luck, if she concentrates hard enough. It expends effort. She could just point at you, give you bad luck. She could point at me and give me good luck. And then if she wanted to, she could manipulate that luck. But she can't, Cthulhu arises and stuff like that. That she's that's impossible. So here's Iron Man capitalizing on the distraction. Some teamwork over here. Look at this Iron. He just blasted everything. Look at that panel. And what do we have here? Pyro. He just gets hit by Hawkeye's taking him out. He wasn't paying attention to Pyro. Wonder Man over here. Just teamwork. This is just teamwork. He takes the water tower. And I'm forgetting something. Why is Rogue doing awesome? Because she has the tactics and experience of Captain America. That's why Captain America's not in this. Remember, she absorbed him at the beginning. I forgot about that. I take back what I said. Chris Claremont, you genius, you. So at the beginning, if we remember, Captain America totally defeated. That's the first thing that Rogue did. So that was the plan. Mystique told her, go after Captain America, absorb his expertise, his skill in combat. So that's why Rogue's, oh man, I forgot about that. I got caught up in it. So that makes total sense. Chris Claremont, you mad genius, you. So here's Avalanche, lashing out. Look at Beast is sneaking up on him. We got Scarlet Witch manipulating probabilities, being sexy, and then he just jumps down on Avalanche. I love that. We got the Blob over here. A lot of people don't know this, but I was the body model for Fred J. Dukes back in my beardless youth. So he's about to stamp on Vision, and boom, look at Vision's face, and I love that. You're invulnerable. You can't be moved, but this is solar, so he has heat vision. You see this gem up here? This gem absorbs solar radiation and powers his body, and he could expend the power from his body into heat vision. So he'll be weak for a little bit, but the heat hits Fred J. Dukes in the face. I love that. I love that, and I also love these. These are some early Dungeons and Dragons advertisements. This one, the other ones were drawn by Bill Willingham. This one was drawn by Jeff D. Jeff D. and Bill Willingham. Uh, uh, as far I think they lived out by me, and they used to go to there was a hobby store called Waterloo, and Waterloo, it was like mecca for role playing games. We used to, my friend Carl's the same one who bullied me into buying this comic. His father would drive us out to Waterloo, and it was just like a whole new world of like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. So this was like probably around this point, 81. And Jeff D and Bill Willington used to hang out there. They were kids at the time, and they would draw, And I used to see people drawing, so maybe I did meet them. I don't know. I'm not going to claim that I did. And you'd buy, and then Scott Bazaar, the owner of it, lent Jeff D money, and Jeff D created a game called Villains and Vigilantes, the superhero role playing game that I still play to this day, although I heavily modify it. So there you go. And then Bill Willingham drew the two of the greatest modules for that, add-ons. Island of Dr. Octopus, the Island of Dr. Apocalypse, and Death Duel with the Destroyers. Those are just, you got to get those stuff if you're a Bill Willingham fan. So now we got Jocasta and Vision, but they're both unleashing their heat, they similar powers. They're not attacking Fred J. Dukes directly. Right now he's blinded by the flesh, but they're destroying the ground to take him out. He's falling. Two of them all, yeah, really. Those early D&D ads were awesome, Bucky. I got to agree with you. So now she's using her hex powers, Kirby Crackles flying around. What is she doing? She's using hex powers. So it looks like a blast, but what is she doing? The strapping gave way and the water splashing out. So he's in a hole in the ground. They blasted him into a hole in the ground, and now water's filling up. What a great way to take out the blob. Blorf. So he's choking and gagging and passing out because he may be invulnerable, but you still need to breathe. Fight's over. We're going back down to the X Mansion, the Avengers Mansion, rather. Or is this the X-Men mansion? Doesn't matter. One of the mansions. So here's Charles Xavier over here. Here's all the girls being all sexy. We got Storm in her bikini. I love when they put the flower in her hair. Carol Danvers looking all va-va-va-voom. Jessica Drew over here. I love Colossus checking him out and not checking him out because remember, he's supposed to be 21 years old. Tell me if you're 21 years old and these women walk by, you're not looking voluntarily or involuntarily. They're hanging out. This is the beginning of their... I think they were already established as friends. And, this is cementing their friendship. She was about to kill herself. Guys, I cannot stress, they gave her so many good character arcs. So she was kind of written out of Marvel at this point. They didn't know what to do with her. Marvel was dead. Miss Marvel comic was canceled. She was a character that was, forgotten about. Chris Claremont, in the X-Men, she got absorbed by Rogue. She lost her powers. She lost her memory. She lost everything. She's just a blank slate starting all over again. And she's like, I'm going to kill myself. Jessica Drew helps her out. They become friends. I just love the character development. I do have a fondness for the Carol Danvers character. I just don't like really what Marvel is doing with her lately. Just so cool. So now she's... talking to the Avengers, what's going on. Oh, okay. I forgot about this. So she already became, no, she didn't become binary at this point. So the Avengers, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about this. Have I used any of the Thunder Agent characters in your heroes? No, I have not. I try to make up all the original things for my game. I as an exercise, I wrote up all the X-Men, but I never played them. I just wanted to make them up because I loved the X-Men at the point. But I never put them in my games. I always try to make up my own superheroes. So here, I forgot about this, guys. So they brought her back in an Avengers 200 because they did it in a flashback. Why didn't that trigger in my memory? Immortus selected her to be the mother of Immortus's child, who is basically himself. So that's or a Mortis is his own father, and she's a Mortis's mother. So Kang in the Marvel universe, and he basically used his like psionic abilities to manipulate her. So in a way, he date raped her. He gave her a roofie, and Avengers 200, she goes off to go live with the Mortis beyond time and space, and all the Avengers are like, "Bye, Carol, live," whatever. And now she's telling them off. She's telling them off. She's like, "You guys left me with the Mortis. I didn't have my druthers. I was, against my will, with him." And they're like apologizing. She's slapping them all, and she's like, "How dare you? You know, you guys wrote me off. I was vulnerable. They're talking about what's happening. It's like one of those things that Marvel kind of wants to forget about. So she's like, how dare you all?" And this is all just an uh, exposition of her talking about her feelings. Like, you guys were the Avengers, and you failed me. You left me like to the whims of like a sexual pervert, And here they are. Look at their body language. They're all ashamed. And she's like, you know, and now I think she got absorbed after this. So she's like, I don't really remember. I'm going to rebuild my life. And she goes off. And look at that. They're all ashamed. She told off all of the Avengers for basically leaving her to at the whims of an abuser. Really, there's no other way to say it. Look, ain't she sweet? And that's the end. And then Carol Danvers. Yeah, what a strange story to include. Well, you had to address it. You had to address it. If you ask me, if you're going to bring back Carol Danvers, you got to bring back the what happened to her. And next Sunday, I'll break out Avengers 200, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, that cements it. That'll be the bookend. And then I want to break out the comic where she gets her powers back and encounters Rogue and punches her to the moon. Oh my God, that'll be awesome. So there you go. I've been talking for a little over an hour, and I'll give a couple of minutes to anybody want to ask any questions, anybody want to say anything, anybody want to bring anything up. This Wednesday, I'm going to be talking with, I don't even know his real name, but Phoenix Press. He has the comic Screecher that I just bought on a whim, and I actually really enjoyed it. The Avengers became the three, just became the Three Stooges. Yeah, well, when you're getting told off by a mortal woman with no powers who basically was raped beyond time and space, and you just guys were like, bye, stay with your rapist, you got to stand there and let her slap you. You know what I mean? You kind of deserve it. You got to admit this comic with Rogue as a villain. Yes, it was. This is an awesome comic. This is a must-have. It's a must-have just for the art alone. The only thing I'll ding it on is I don't particularly like this cover. I don't particularly like Michael Golden's coloring. I read somewhere, and I might be mixing up Michael Golden with why can't I think of his name? The guy who did the Conan comics. The name escapes me for a minute, but I remember when they were kids, they got hired, and they just lied and said, "Could you color also?" And he's like, "Yeah, I could color." And he just started coloring, never did it before. And he was like coloring Captain America's shield, and then he was coloring the Vision, and I forget who it was. Glynis Wynn or Tatcha Wood was like, I don't know why you're doing that, because if you color all red on the page and then you color all the blue on the page, it'll go a lot faster. But you knew that already. I guess you were out partying last night, so she covered for him. She gave him a little bit of advice, covered for him. But I think that was Michael Golden. Yes, the cover panels is an odd editing decision. I agree with you. And then this horrible. I just hate it. So there you go. Hey, John. Hey, Eddie's. Oh, geez, my eyes just unfocused. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? I brought the phone a little too close to my face because I can't read. So there you go, guys. What do you think of this? This is a must-have. This is a must-have. It's a must-have if you're Avengers. If you're a must-have if you're a Michael Golden fan, and if you're into Carol Danvers history at all. This is a pivotal comic in Carol Danvers history, and Carol Danvers is an excellent Marvel character. It's popular to hate on her because of what the Kelly Sue DeConnick years, but the Kelly Sue DeConnick years it's really only 5, 6, 7 years compared to like from 1968 to like I'm gonna say 2005, 20 years. I'm still a Carol Danvers fan, but then again, I stopped Marvel cold turkey in 2015. I've bought Marvel comics after 2015, like in back issue bins, if I saw a good deal on eBay or something like that. But 2015 was when I stopped buying comics monthly, every month. So that there you go, guys. I'm gonna go. It's pouring rain out, and I have to go drive out to Queens. There's an old lady. She's in her 90s. She was my next door neighbor back in Queens when I lived out there, and I used to take her food shopping. So every 2 weeks I take her food shopping. So I got to go, and she had a flood in her apartment. I got to go cut up her carpet, and roll it up, take it out. She called me on Thursday, but I couldn't make it. So don't forget my coffee. Yes, I got one more sip. But I got to go do, take this. I'll never forget when I told this woman I was moving out to Suffolk. She looked panicked. And it almost made me cry. And I promised her I'm only a phone call away, and I will always be there for her. So she called me up. She had a flood. I think she's getting old and daffy. I think she left the sink on or something like that. And I got to go cut up the carpet, measure for a new carpet, and then take her food shopping. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Eddie. Spawn and McFarlane are great. Yeah, I ain't gonna argue with that. Does any thoughts on Gunslinger Spawn? Yeah. Gotta help the elderly. Gotta help the elderly. God willing. Like I told my wife, when I have my eventual heart attack, and she has all my comic books, and her and her new boyfriend are selling them all, going on yachts and world trips, that maybe some young whippersnapper will mow her lawn and take her food shopping, which she's an old lady. Spawn. Let me just say this before I sign out. I got caught up in Spawn. I got it from issue 1, and I think I stopped collecting around issue 12. I don't know. It's just something about it. I got the feeling that Todd McFarlane just didn't put his heart and soul into it. Like you could. I think he was phoning in the work. Like I think he got excited and then moved on. Just as fast as he got excited, he just as fast moved on. And it never. He never he didn't stick to it. He didn't give it the love that he needed, and you can't fake that. And I don't know. Am I wrong? Thoughts on Spawn? But I showcased Spawn #1. It was a phenomenon. It was important. It was a great comic, the first couple of issues. But I've since bought, like, I think I have up to 100. I bought it in an eBay auction, and I think I read up to 60. I got to go back and see where I am. But there you go. Now I'm rambling. Thanks a lot, everybody. I got to go and do my good deeds, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I have a board game video. Tuesday I have my monthly visitor. Wednesday I have a live chat with the fellow who does Screecher Comics. He goes by Phoenix Press on Twitter. I don't even know his real name. And then maybe if Bucky reminds me, I'll do the tick for Thursday. Okay, Bucky, you got homework. Remind me to do the tick for Thursday. Okay, I'll see you guys. Thanks a lot. I don't know what else to say other than thank you so much for supporting me. I'm really enjoying this. I haven't said it in a while, but I appreciate you guys. And I was going to give this up after a while because my first year, between not knowing what to do and lack of views and lack of people interaction, because this is supposed to be about interacting with comic book fans. So I was going to pack it in. I was like, all right, I tried it. It didn't work. And now I look forward to it. It's no longer a chore. It's something it's like talking to friends. Thank you guys. You're all my friends. I'll see you tomorrow with another video.